In this episode, I'm going to collect every single armor trim there is in the game due to the new 1.20 update. I hope you enjoy the update as much as I do. It really improves the aspect of adventuring, and I think they really came up with something there. It took some time, but here it is, the episode in which I will search for the new 1.20 armor trims in order to create my own armor style in the game. Therefore, I made this board in a creative world so that I can get an overview about the different locations of the new items. Some of them are really meant to be found easily, however, some of them are really getting me worried about losing the world, because there are structures that I haven't been paying attention on yet. But we will see what's coming, and that's of course not all of it. I'm also going to build a beautiful museum to display the different armor styles, and I'm really looking forward to use some of the cherry wood or cherry leaves for that. I promise you guys, this is going to look amazing when it's done. If you don't want to miss any of the future episodes, then please consider subscribing. It is completely free, but it helps me out a lot and I really appreciate your support. Also, don't forget to comment your opinion on the new update, because I'm really interested in your thoughts. But now, let's get right into today's episode. I've started my new adventure by flying across our world. But before I could do that, I had to craft myself a brush with which I can easily clean the new treasure holding suspicious blocks like sand and gravel. I've crafted some more in case they break faster than I was expecting. Not very long after I started my journey, I stumbled upon an abandoned shipwreck which has been eaten by the sands of a beach. I took the opportunity and cleaned it out, and so I became the owner of my first piece of armor trim, the coast armor trim, which can only be found in a shipwreck. A very good omen for our adventure, I guess. After I enjoyed my luck enough, I took the rest of the treasures from this chest here and went back on track. With the coast armor trim, I have collected the first of 16 more, and I was curious about finding the rest of them. Some minutes of traveling further on, I found yet another new feature of the update. I'm speaking of the trail ruins, in which can be found 4 more armor trims. I found those by simply looking onto the world map, where you can see if there are blocks that don't fit the area, like terracotta or gravel. Every now and then I also flew upon some pumpkins, but that's okay, I guess. In the end I found one, and I started to excavate immediately in order to find my first treasure. What could this update hold up for me? Which of the artifacts is waiting for me inside my first piece of gravel? It's a brick. Brick found a brick. Hilarious, Minecraft. As a punishment for the ruins, I thought I might be able to quickly dig up some more treasures by completely excavating and destroying this antique ruin. In terms of quickly, I got really messed up, because the whole thing took me about an hour of work, and I really underestimated the way you have to treat those artifacts. But as you can see, I still found another armor trim upon the other broken vases and statues. I guess I've broke several treasures within the process, and I'm really sorry, Minecraft, please don't let me die on the journey. The second one also did not let me wait too long for it to appear upon all the sand and dirt. In this single ruin I could manage to find the razor and the shaper armor trim, and so I took care of the rest of the suspicious blocks before getting back on track yet again. There was also a lot of junk that could be found, like candles and glass panes, but also some more of the new signs and a lot of those clay patterns which can be used to craft vases later on, I guess. I even found some more of the razor and shaper armor trims, but unfortunately not another new one. By the way, if you like watching me digging up some treasures, I am currently streaming Uncharted 4 on Twitch, so come join me if you want. I tried to get the platinum trophy there, and it's been a really good adventure so far. With that being said, the ruin is completely done and empty, and I could manage to get 2 more armor trims, which is a really good rate for one ruin. This means we can continue our journey because there are still 2 more ruin armor trims left, which I have to collect. A few minutes away from this location had been the second trail ruin, which I found again by using my world map. This time the structure was hidden under tall spruce trees, but the terracotta was the perfect sign for me to investigate the location. It hurts my soul when I think about the destruction I caused above these ancient ruins. I think next time I want to build a project around one of those ruins in order to keep up the history of those places. But nevertheless, eventually I started to dig up this ruin too. I've made a big time lapse on the one hand, and on the other hand you can see all the stuff I found within this structure. It didn't took me too long to find the third armor trim, the host trim, and by the way, if you don't want to miss out on any future updates and videos, I recommend you to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and you can always unsubscribe if you wish to, but it helps me out a lot, so I really appreciate every one of you doing so. Good things will happen if you subscribe. For example, me finding the fourth and therefore last armor trim that can be found inside a trail ruin. You see, I told you. Of course I'm just joking, but I really found the last Wayfinder armor trim, but I couldn't help myself, so I needed to clear up all the other stuff before returning back on our adventure. Once again I just left a digging site all messed up and destroyed, but at least I found everything I came for, namely the host and the Wayfinder armor trim, which completes the set of trail ruin trims. The next structure I found was more of a coincidence like the shipwreck again, namely the pillager outpost. All in all, it was no challenge to get the sentry trim, except for me fighting a bunch of pillagers even though I aimed like a drunken wandering trader. In the end, I managed, and this adds surprisingly one more trim to the collection. I am really curious about how all of those are going to look like when I add them to some chest plates or helmets later on. Which material do you think am I going to use? Write down in the comments, but hey, don't spoil yourself. Next up, I flew around the world to find an untouched jungle biome in which a jungle temple could spawn. Eventually I found one thanks again to my world map. I really recommend you guys using such a mod in your own world too, at least in terms of adventuring. After entering the temple, I first got stupidly shot by an arrow before taking a closer look inside the first chest around the corner. In this chest was nothing but a spicy stench, which hasn't bothered me enough to give up. Once again I destroyed an ancient structure and I really believe my world is cursed now by the old gods. In the end I still found the wild armor trim, which brings me to a collection of 7 trims in total. So we are almost halfway through. For the next target on my list I had to visit a website called Chunk Base, where you can simply put in the seed of your world and then it shows you all the structures that have been generated in your world. I needed the help of this site to find a freshly generated ancient city, and I have been flying around in my world for quite a long time now, which is the reason for me needing help with this. Chunkbase really helped me out for this video, which is why you can find the link to the website in the description down below. So I selected the structure I needed and the website showed me that a new ancient city would be generated around 5,000 blocks away from the original spawn, so the chances for me finding this randomly would have been around 0. I was very happy about the help, and so I switched back over to the hardcore world and started flying towards the coordinates I wrote down. Soon enough I could manage to find the location right next to a beautiful new cherry biome, and I just started to dig straight down. I was pretty frightened about me needing to find and loot some ancient cities. I really felt like losing the world in the process, which is why I played this in a very careful and slow way. I think the first city took me around 2 hours to loot and I've not even been to all of the chests there. First of all, I wanted to have an overview about the area and also a good spot to jump down without triggering any shrieker or sensors. So I took a good look around, and after I finally leap of faith me down, I began to explore the city by simply placing wool everywhere I went. I think I didn't even took one step or small jump without having placed a wool block or a piece of carpet before. That's just how frightened I was. After reaching the ground, it didn't took too long for me to find the first chest, and I have to say that I couldn't believe what was in there. The most dangerous structure in Minecraft in my opinion, and I'm gonna have to search for two specific items. In this case, the loot of the first chest was a very bad omen. One single golden apple, nothing else. I really thought I couldn't manage to find all of the armor trims at this point, but anyways I continued my exploration. There were so many hidden structures of the old people of this world that I asked myself how they could end up like that. Forgotten and hidden inside an underground cave system which has never been touched by the least amount of sunlight. But anyways, I still found some treasure chests around that contained a lot of random loot like potions and sculk blocks. It went really well until this happened. I broke the wrong block and a shrieker got triggered. Due to the reason I've never visited an ancient city before, I thought that this was the moment when the warden spawns. But fortunately, the shriekers need to be triggered multiple times, but I still panicked in this situation. I made my way through a nearby wall that I wanted to dig through as fast as possible, but in the end I even found another city that was hidden behind exactly that wall. I couldn't believe it, but it was true. I shot up my map and there you can see that there were two ancient cities that are connected to a giant underground metropolis. At least it seemed like it. Of course I've also started to explore those ruins as well, and I quickly found another chest that once again contained some very specific loot, which also gave me some inventory sorting problems. I had my concerns about the inventory space because I couldn't really figure out a way to place down my shulkers in order to store all the unnecessary items, but I would say in the end my struggles were absolutely worth it, because this chest had something very special to offer me right there. It contained the first of the two foundable ancient city armor trims, the Ward armor trim, and that has taken at least half of a load off my mind. Once again I struggled with my inventory, but eventually I could obtain one of the two hardest to find items in the new update, at least in my eyes. Unfortunately, I couldn't manage to find the second one too, which means that I had to return. Just a quick disclaimer from the editing table, I've googled the chances of finding a silence armor trim, and there is actually only a 1.2% chance to find one in one of the ancient city chests. This is just something I didn't know, but I guess it is necessary to know in order not to get frustrated too fast. But so much about that, now let's continue with the episode. After this hell of an adventure, I was very pleased with seeing the sun again, and I luckily dug up in the middle of the cherry blossom forest, which gave me another peaceful vibe. Then I could finally relieve myself with jumping around happily, because I've survived the hardest structure so far on my list. I put all the loot inside my shulker boxes, and with the ward armor trim I've already gathered half of the entire collection. The next step for me was to build a nether portal in order to search for the nether armor trims, which are the second most dangerous items to collect in this episode. The rib armor trim was used to be another very rare item to find inside a nether fortress, which again kind of worried me. I did not want to spend a lot of time flying around the lava sea in the nether. I definitely didn't. But in order to try and shorten this term a little bit, I once again visited the chunk base map and selected the nether for my seed. This gave me the opportunity to write down coordinates of fortresses and bastions that haven't been generated yet. This made the whole operation a lot easier, and I'm very glad I could use this website. Arrived in the nether, I first needed to find a way into the free realm of this place in order to use my elytra. On the way to it, I found my first fortress by accident. It was hidden inside the netherrack, but I unfortunately had no luck in all of the chests there. However, I had my luck in another way, because at the end of some random stairs inside the fortress has a bastion been generated, which was kind of a strange coincidence, but I took it gladly. For the bastions I once again went for the slow and careful way, because I had a decent amount of respect of the piglins and their golden axes. So I chose the bow for my weapon of choice and dealt with most of the piglins from a safe distance while looting some chests again. Eventually I managed to get down to the bottom of their bastion where they stored all their gold blocks and also one more chest. There could have probably been the snoot armor trim inside the chest, which is going to be the only reason for me having ever visited and looted this structure. I would have said that if it was the case that I found the snoot armor trim there, but I didn't, and so I had to continue the search for it. Before leaving I took all of the gold blocks, because, I mean, why not, right? When I had made my way out, I trapped all of the remaining piglins inside their own bastion, so that they starve to death by time. At least I guess they do. Do they even eat? But due to the reason I haven't uploaded something in a while, by the way, I'm sorry for that, you are going to have to wait for the next episode in order to find out if I could manage to find all of the armor trims without dying and what I'm going to build for those to be safe and sound. I promise you, it is going to look amazing when it's done. But for today, we quit our adventure here. I still have to announce the last episode's winner, namely the name of our mighty mage. The winner who guessed the amount of time it took to build the castle correctly was Skulos with 69 hours and 15 minutes. Congratulations, Skulos! Our mighty mage at court will be named after you, and I'm sorry for letting you wait that long. So I'll see you next week for the second part of our adventure. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so that you'll be notified when the next episode is uploaded. Thank you guys and stay safe.